everyone, a pleasant day to all. I am your first reporter for today's session. This is a continuation of the report of Sir Mark and Sir CJ last meeting. I will be discussing to you the qualities of a good test, or also known as the criteria for constructing a good test. But before we proceed, let us recall the definition of test. A test is a tools or methods designed to obtain information. It is usually comprised of test items or exercises or instructions in the area it is designed to measure. We all know the example of tests are paper pencil tests, oral exams, performance or product assessment. A test is also an instrument designed to measure a knowledge, characteristics, quality, ability, knowledge, or skill. There are two important characteristics of a good test, and I know you are all familiar with this, and these are the validity and reliability. Let us discuss first validity. The word validity derived from the Latin validus, meaning strong. Validity is an important characteristic of any test. It is the ability of instrument to measure what is intended to measure. We can say a test is valid if it measures what we really wish to measure. The source of validity are test content, response process, and internal structure. Types of validity. These are the construct validity, content validity, phase validity, and criterion validity. When we say construct validity, it pertains to the question, does the test measure the concept that it's intended to measure? Construct validity, it evaluates whether a measurement tool really represents the thing we are interested in measuring. It's central to establishing the overall validity of a method. Pag sinabi natin kasing construct validity, it is all about ensuring that the method of measurement matches the construct you want to measure. To achieve this construct validity, you have to ensure that your indicators and measurements are carefully developed based on relevant existing knowledge. The next one is content validity. Okay, this content validity pertains to the question, is the test fully representative of what it aims to measure? Yes, it must. Content validity, it assesses whether a test is representative of all aspects of the construct. Para makaproduce tayo ng valid results in content validity, the content of a test, survey of a measurement method must cover all relevant parts of the subject it aims to measure. If some aspects are missing from the measurement, or if irrelevant aspects are included, the validity is threatened because it must cover all the relevant parts of the subject it aims to measure. Phase validity. Objectives of phase validity answer to the question, does the content of the test appear to be suitable to its aims? Phase validity considers how suitable the content of a test seems to be in the surface. This is similar to content validity, but phase validity is more informal and subjective assessment. As phase validity is a subjective measure, it is often considered the pinakamahinang form of validity because it is a simple form of validity where you apply just a superficial and subjective assessment of whether or not your study or test measures what it is supposed to measure. However, it can be useful in the initial stages of developing a method. In other words, it is the easiest form of validity to apply to research. Criterion validity. It pertains to the question, does the test measure the objectives of the course? This validity is the most common na kinukonsider natin in making a test. Kung yung test mo ba ay ni-aim ng objectives mo. In other words, it evaluates how closely the results of your test correspond to the results of a different test. Paano ba i-evaluate ang criterion validity? Okay, we must calculate the correlation between the results of your measurement and the results of the criterion measurement. If mataas yung correlation niya, this is a good condition that your test is measuring what it is intended to measure. And those are the different types of validity. And let's go on to the factors that influences validity. And the first one is the length of the test. Paano kahaba or kaikli yung test na ginawa? If the test is too short or masyado siyang maikli to become a representative one, then validity will be affected accordingly. Homogeneous lengthening of a test increases both validity and reliability. Next one is unclear directions. Pag hindi naintindihan ng mga bata, it will affect the validity of the test. It's just like in a proper lesson, pag hindi mo na ituro ng maayos yung lesson mo, hindi ito naiintindihan ng mga bata. Otherwise, wala siyang natutunan. If you want to have a clearer directions, the simpler the better. One is reading vocabulary and sentence structures, which are too difficult. It is the complicated vocabulary and sentence structure meant for the learners taking the test may fail in the measuring aspects of the learner's performance, thus it's lowering the validity of the exam or the test. The inappropriate level of difficulty of the test items. The test items have an inappropriate level of difficulty. It will affect the validity of the tool. For example, in criterion reference tests, failure to match the difficulty specified by the learning outcome will lower the validity of the exam. Poorly structured test items. The test items which provide unintentional clues to the answer will tend to measure the learner's alertness in detecting clues as well as the aspects of learner's performance which ultimately affect the validity of the test. Ambiguity. Ambiguity in statements in the test items leads to misinterpretation, differing interpretation, and confusion. Sometimes it may confuse the better students more than the poorer ones, resulting in the discrimination of items in a negative direction. As a consequence of this, the validity of the test is lowered. Items inappropriate for the outcomes being measured. This affects the results and leads to a distortion of the validity of the test. Many times what happens is that we try to measure certain complex types of achievement, understanding, thinking, skills, etc., with test forms that are appropriate only for measuring factual knowledge. The next one is improper arrangement of items. Items in the test are generally arranged in order of difficulty, with the easiest items first, to the average, to the difficult one. Pag nauna yung difficult items kaysa sa easy items, and doon na nagtutuon yung bata and spend too much of their time on this difficult one and failed to reach other items which they could answer easily. But, however, mga bata kasing tinitignan yung mga easy items, ika na lamang yung mga difficult items pag natapos na yung mga easy ones. In the rule, mas mauna dapat yung easiest one, average then difficult one. Because the improper arrangement may influence also the negative effect on the learner's motivation. Okay, the last but not the least, the identifiable pattern of answers. Nagawa ko na to and I know nagawa niyo na din to. When the students kasi identify already the systematic pattern of the correct answer, like for example, A, B, 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 or A, B, C, D, they can cleverly guess the answers. And this will affect the validity of the test. Hindi na nila binabasa yung test, especially on the lower levels of learners. And that is all about validity. Other characteristic of a good test is the reliability. In the dictionary, the meaning of the reliability is consistency, dependence, or trust. In the measurement naman, reliability is the consistency with which a test yields same results in measuring whatever it does measure. Another definition, it refers to the consistency of scores or answers from one set of items to. Napansin niyo ba yung word na consistency? And that is pertaining to what is reliability is. A test is reliable if we get the same results repeatedly. It refers to its stability. Pag humuhugot ka naman, ang meaning ng reliability is being able to trust, to be trusted, to do what it expected or has been promised. So, when do we say that exam is reliable? Paano natin masasabi na yung exam is reliable? Yes, when the test consistently measures what it is supposed to measure. Like for example, if you test someone and he got 100 marks, after a period of time, do again. If you get same results, it is reliability. Another example, take a test of math ability and then retake the same test 2 months later. If they're receiving similar score both time, the reliability of the test is high. Parehong-pareho pa rin yung nakuha niyang scores kahit ilan pang buwan yan or taon. Just like in validity, there are also types of reliability and we should also know how to measure them. And there are 4 types of reliability. And these are the test-retest, iterator, parallel forms, and the internal consistency. For the test-retest, it measures the same test over time. Yes, it's all about the time. The test-retest reliability measures the consistency of results when you repeat the same test and the sample at a different point in time. You use it when you are measuring something that you expect to stay constant in your sample. Another one is iterator. The same test conducted by different people. Iterator reliability is also known as inter-observer reliability. This measures the degree of agreement between different people observing or assessing the same thing. Different people with the same test. We use it when data is collected by researchers assigning ratings, scores, or categories to one or more variables. The next one is the parallel forms, the different versions of a test which are designed to be equivalent. Ito na pumapasok yung set A and set B natin. These parallel forms of reliability measures the correlation between 2 equivalent versions of a test. You use it when you have 2 different assessment tools or sets of questions designed to measure the same thing. Gaya ng sabi ko kanina, may set A, may set B, baga na bali-baliktad lang yung mga nasa set A and sa set B. Last one is the internal consistency. Yes, the individual items of a test. This internal consistency assesses the correlation between multiple items in a test that are intended to measure the same construct. Nakakalculate yung internal consistency without repeating the test or involving any other researchers. So it's a good way of assessing the reliability when you only have one data set. Like in the validity, there are also factors influencing the reliability. And these are the length of the test, the reliability of scoring, the variability of a group, the difficulty of test items, the common set of instruction, the common environment, and the scoring procedure of the test. If we analyze it, parang pareho lang yung mga factors that influence validity and reliability. So sa reliability, when it comes to the length of the test, the longer the test, the higher the reliability. And scoring naman, multiple choice tests are more reliable than essay tests. Variability of group, the more homogeneous the group, the lower the reliability. And for the difficult of test items, the reliability is lower when the test is either too easy or too difficult. A common set of instructions, a common environment in which the learners attempt the test. Yes, nakaka-apekto din ito in reliability. And the last one is the scoring procedure of the test. Our next topic is all about item analysis. I know we are all familiar with this, item analysis, and it is the act of analyzing student responses to individual exam questions with the intention of evaluating exam quality. Pag natapos na natin kasing gumawa ng objective assessment items and naibigay na natin yung test sa mga bata, how can we be sure that the items are appropriate? It is not too difficult or not too easy. How will we know if the test effectively differentiates between students who do well on the overall test and those who do not? And item analysis is a valuable, relatively easy procedure that teachers can use to answer both of the questions that I have mentioned earlier. And it is important tool to uphold test effectiveness and fairness. To elaborate more about item analysis, I have prepared here a video lesson or a video clip to explain more what is this item analysis all about.
Hello students. Today you're gonna learn about item analysis. But first, what is item analysis? It is a procedure used to identify the quality of the test items, whether it is good or defective. If it's good, then it will be retained. If it's bad, then it will be revised or rejected. Steps of item analysis. Check and score the test scores. Arrange the papers from highest to lowest. Separate the 27% highest and the 27% lowest of the papers. Tally the correct answers to each item by each test takers taken in the upper 27% and by each test takers in the lower 27%. So for example, you have 50 students who have already taken your exam, then you get and arrange their papers from highest to lowest. To get the 27%, simply move 2 decimal places to the left. Then multiply it to the total number of takers. The next one is the item difficulty index. It is done to determine how easy or difficult an item test is. It simply gets the proportion of test takers who answer an item correctly. To get this, use the formula. P-value is equals to total number of students selecting the items correctly in the upper and lower group divided by total number of the 27% of the upper and lower group. To determine the level of difficulty, use this table. The average level is the most acceptable. Let's use the values that we got last time. Our class size is 50 and the 27% is 14, therefore the total number of the 27% of the upper and lower group is 28. And let's say that all of the upper group correctly answered the items while the lower group only got 7. We will then add the 2 groups and we'll get 21. This is now our total number of students selecting the items correctly in the upper and lower group. Now that we got our values, we can now solve the difficulty index. Simply divide the total number of students selecting the items correctly in the upper and lower group, which is 21, and the total number of the 27% of the upper and lower group, which is 28. 21 divided by 28 is equals to 0.75. And basing from our table, we can say that the test is easy, which is not acceptable and needs to be revised.